Welcome, everyone, and happy Thursday. It is noon Eastern time here in the booming metropolis just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, known as Ambler, PA. Philadelphia, Ambler, noon Eastern time Thursdays. You know what that means. It is time for Talent Experience Live, your weekly look into all things recruiting, talent acquisition, talent management, human resources as a whole, and of course, artificial intelligence. And this show is proudly brought to you by the good folks here at Phenom, whose purpose is, stop me if you've heard this before, to help 1 billion find the right work. That is why we host this podcast every single Thursday, why we have another great podcast with Cliff Yurkowitz called Unusual Attitudes, why we have a plethora of webinars and other activities and events coming up, such as I Am Phenom coming up in March. We just wrapped up I Am Phenom Europe a couple weeks back, and I Am Phenom India is in December, and also why we are at every single HR Tech event under the sun this past fall. So hopefully you had a chance to see us. If not, the upcoming I Am Phenoms are fast approaching, and you can always sign up for a webinar in the meantime. But since you're here, don't do that now. Leave, hang out, and help us work towards our purpose of helping 1 billion find the right work. And the way that we do that is through our applied AI talent experience platform, which helps candidates find the right fit faster, employees evolve in their current roles and beyond. Managers get to build better teams through data analytics. And of course, recruiters, they get to achieve wild levels of productivity and efficiency. And of course, if any of this interests you at all, run, don't walk to phenom.com. There you will see our webinars, our events, and everything in between. And you can always request a demo if you are so interested. That was a mouthful. But now that the bills are paid, it is time to jump into today's topic. Today, we are talking about the AI and automation roadmap and how HR never got it. They checked their mail. They checked their email. It just never showed up. And I have a fantastic guest with me here today, recurring guest who is visiting the Ambler office. Welcome, Joanna Keel, to the program. How are you?
Well, thank you. You know, I am doing very well. I had a delicious lunch, so I'm feeling energized. Let's do it. Let's talk about AI. Let's talk about automation.
Yeah, and hopefully you saved room for Thanksgiving next week.
Oh, there's always room.
always room.
Always room.
I am, obviously everyone's talking about HR, about automation and AI in HR. And I want to ask you, it's a daunting task, right? Yeah. Even for, I think, regular folks using ChatGPT for their everyday lives, no one knows where to start. So I want to ask you, where should HR teams kind of start with this technology?
Yeah, well, first, there's a lot, right? There's so much of where to start. And to go back to your point, they didn't get a map. A map tells you, start here, go there. We were just talking about Indiana Jones. Yeah. Could he have done that without his map? He had maps, I think, in every movie. Or
it was so important. Yeah, that was how he transitioned from place to place, was with the little red lines.
So, yes, exactly. You need to know where to go and where to start. And I like laugh. It never ended up in the mail, you know. So dang it, where is that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But lots of teams, they don't know this, because what does good look like? Am I behind? Am I ahead? I don't know. And that feels really risky. That feels a little uneasy when you're just not sure of what the map is. And are we even on the map? Are we even on course? Or but also wanting this feeling of controlling your destination too, right? You just don't want to blindly follow a map. You want to be able to choose the route that you want to take. Yeah. I'm sure in Philly you guys do that all the time. If something's under construction or shut down, whatever, you're choosing your route. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the same thing with AI and automation. They want that the map with the power to choose.
Yeah. Potholes really the big issue in Philadelphia. My roads were all closed down for construction last week, so I completely understand. And I think this was so new for everyone that a lot of managers and leaders were kind of like, experiment, see what you can find when it comes to AI and automation. And you mentioned a key factor there. It's about the destination, right? Yes. I don't think that was ever really defined for folks of see what you can create, right? And we got a bunch of funny memes of people as toys in little, LinkedIn posts about this is my kit or what have you. That's not helping
No.
hires. So I want to ask you, when it comes to a roadmap in really practical terms,
Yeah.
what does that mean for teams? How should they figure out where point A is and what their destination is?
Yeah. So think about it. Everyone can relate to this, right? Manufacturing did this very well. An assembly line. You may not know what goes into that, but what you do know is you follow A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you have a finished product at the end. Shoot, even running solved for this. So the Couch to 5K, it gave runners, first-time runners, an opportunity to look at what does week one look like. It's that starting point, that momentum that really shifts off. So then you can choose, if you're that runner, you can choose, am I going to do lots of 5Ks? Am I going to go on? Did I enjoy the running? Can I now improve my posture, performance? So it's really the same thing for HR. And if you sort of think about it, without these levels or guidances or these maps, they're almost on the airplane and also building it, because they're like, hey, look, I found an automation, plug that in. Oh my gosh, I found intelligence, plug that in. And wow, and now you can go across the Atlantic,
Yeah.
So it's finally here, and they're able to see, oh, this is where I want to go, and now I know how to get there.
Yeah, I love the marathon Couch to 5K analogy that you mentioned, because if you don't follow the steps, a lot of people will get hurt. Not everyone,
Yes.
of course. Some people are able to look at these AI tools and make sense of the chaos,
Yes.
build the airplane why it's fine,
Yeah.
because they thrive in chaos, right?
Sure.
Others not so much, and they end
No.
up hurt. And then if you're hurt, you're not going to run again,
No.
right? You're never going to do that because you're physically unable. So
yeah.
I think one thing that you were alluding to there was there's levels
Yeah.
to building through this. And I liken it to getting your driver's license, right?
Yep.
You start with a learner's permit where you have a guardian or something in the car. Then I know in New Jersey, where I grew up, you were only able to drive outside of twilight hours. So in between 9 to 5, once it started to get a little bit of dark, if you were pulled over, you're getting a ticket, right? Like that's how it works. But it's all building up to this.
That's right.
Here's your freedom. Here's, that license where you can drive wherever.
Yes.
Are we seeing a similar maturity level process when it comes to artificial intelligence in order to achieve success?
Yeah. I'm gonna steal this directly from Mahi, and he's talked about this in many things. But when you think of levels, he loves to use back to the driving reference, self-driving.
Yep.
So and we say it like this because you can relate to that. So think of a level 0 this is a manual car. You're driving, you're braking, you're navigating, you're doing all the things. Everyone's been in that car, right? Think of a level 1 car. Maybe this is one where, hey, you got cruise control. So yes, that is easier, but you're still doing a lot of things, right? And then think about like a level 2. Maybe this you're adding on some lane assist, right? So this is now your driving's getting even easier. And then think of level 3 as maybe it's handling, the car can drive you part of the way, maybe just part on this highway, but then you get in the country roads and you can't do it, right? And then think of level 4s is kind of those Teslas, right? They can really do most of the route, but they haven't turned that driver's seat all the way around, right?
Yeah.
So the human is there for exceptions if a kid on a bike runs out, and then the level 5 is truly that the car turned that seat around and you're going to A to B and you're just along for the ride.
Yeah.
In HR, when you look at applied AI and automation, it truly is the same thing. And it's all evolving with your processes. And it doesn't mean that one person should be here or one organization should be there. Yeah. It's all about progression, right, throughout this process. So if you think about a level 0, so we go 0 through 5, and I know you might have heard this in many of the things, but I think it never gets old. Level 0, just think this is a low automation. You're doing things, Boolean searches. Maybe you're still chasing down interview evaluations using spreadsheets, things like that, right? You're still doing all the things. And then think about level 1. So that's that task level, sort of, you're changing, like the car. Hey, I have cruise control. It's nice, right? Here, think maybe that's just automated interview reminders, right? That's one less email I have to send. So, hey, that's nice. Maybe it's setting a campaign and forgetting about it that's going to run. So yes, that's helping you. But when you see that, you're like, hey, I think I can do more, right? And so then you get that car with the lane assist. And so that's kind of going into that level 2. So here in this way, you're seeing like process automations, right? You're seeing some conditional intelligence being used. Here, think about like maybe profiles that are updated using intelligence rather than like you hand keying, oh, this person just left, then they're now at this organization. Right? You can do it on its own. Or maybe it's scheduling that happens automatically, right? Or onboarding tasks that just trigger because the offer was accepted and the hiring status moved forward. So here you're seeing improvements, but you're still growing. I'll rush through the 3 through the 5s because you just need a base level understanding of this. But 3, like that car, you know, we're getting a little bit more autonomous. We have some advanced automation, some more advanced or applied intelligence. So here, maybe that's you're using high volume hiring workflows, right? Where you can screen, you can actually schedule an interview and hire right then and there. And if you think about those roles where we use it on, that's usually revenue generating roles. So that means if you can get someone in that role,
your bonus is coming. You're getting
right?
some money. Yes.
So we know that's such a boring role. You're hiring so many, but there's a there. Or, you know, maybe you're fast tracking scheduling. Maybe there's that role it's your unicorn, where if you even get a resume that's even close, get that interview as fast as you can. With some of these things, you can do that. You know, you don't even have to. We do see organizations reach a level 4, which is this higher level of automation in these intelligent agents. So think that's the voice screening agent who is mimicking the recruiter that's picking up the phone, but they're doing that 24/7. And by the way, in a compliant manner. So the candidate has all these options to say, yeah, call me here or there. So, and then there's other things like maybe going back to the high volume hiring, it's a seasonal automation where you only hire, you know, for the holiday rush or, you know, the spring cleanup, whatever it is. You could automate that whole thing and free yourself of that. So all you're focused on is the hiring decisions at the end. And then, of course, like level 5 is the futuristic, right? I don't know that we have ever heard of an organization becoming a level 5. But they're doing all the things, the sourcing, the screening, the interviewing, the onboarding, right? All of this is with little human intervention. And so now we're just strategic. So it's a pretty cool model.
I like level 5's like Minority Report, right? We have the thought police where it's like, oh, you're going to need a rec in 3 months from now because so-and-so has been, you know, sidetracked on whatever it may be and they're looking to up level. We're not there, which we will get there, I'm sure. Not Minority Report per se, but to this level of automation where we're really just having human conversations that need to be had and with the folks that need them. I want to ask you, obviously, it takes a while to get to level 3, 4, 5, right?
Sure.
We're seeing that. But oftentimes, I think when we're seeing a lot of this right now, when teams begin to roll out AI and automation, to use the car analogy, they kind of stall out. Is that because they're not seeing the success, that something goes wrong in the early phases? Is it because they expect too much early on? Why does that happen, and how can teams look to avoid it?
So there's two main reasons, to be honest. The first thing is teams stall out because HR doesn't work in a bubble. They touch every business unit, department, whatever you call it, within your organization, right? And they have a lot of compliance that they need to pass through. And when they want to adopt technologies or processes, they don't just say approved. Go. They're talking to IT. They're talking to CIOs. And what's beautiful about this levels is finally, instead of HR going to them say, we want to use AI. And I can be like, whoa, hold on here. You can change the discussion. You can go up to them and say, our current use of AI is a level 1. We're using the following capabilities. We'd love to improve our processes that also, by the way, tie back to our strategic priorities as an organization. And in order to do that, we'd like to implement 1, 2, and 3. All of a sudden, IT is going, and your CIO is going, I see where we're at. I understand where we're going. And it's not a 0 to 5.
Mhm.
What that jump was maybe even a half jump. But the idea is the same. It's progress.
Yeah.
So when people stall out, it's because they're not talking the same language to the decision makers who are deciding what to use within the organization. They stall out because they don't know which technology to go first. They have whiteboarded 10 million things they want to tackle, but that's not possible, right? By really honing in on something, a workflow or whatever the pain point is, and speaking that same language to the teams, you can really pick up some pace.
Yeah, it's going onto a car dealership lot and, somebody's trying to sell you a Ferrari when they think you just need a Honda Civic for right now.
Yeah, you just need a commuter car.
Exactly.
That's it.
You probably don't need all of the bells and whistles to get from A to B.
Yeah.
But what you described there, I think is very eloquent. It's a roadmap, right? It shows where you're at today, where you'll be tomorrow, and where you'll be in the future. And the important aspect is you're talking the talk with CIOs, with IT. You're saying this is level 1. Famously, HR doesn't have a lot of red tape. I'm kidding. There's lots of red tape. So you're saying here, our data is not very exposed for this aspect. We're scheduling interviews. We're automating some messaging. Once we master that, then we'll take the next step, which is super important. I want to ask you though, we talk about all of this, and I mentioned the Ferrari analogy and all the bells and whistles. What do you think the biggest misconception is that HR has around artificial intelligence? Is it that all of their problems will be solved, that they'll be able to automate all of those mundane tasks and simply have just the fun conversations of you're hired or you're getting promoted or whatever?
Yeah.
What is that true misconception that isn't connecting with HR teams today?
Yeah, they really, for what we hear is, we're not ready. We got to be ready. We're working on, cleaning up our data or moving this to this. And so our data isn't ready or this is this. They want it to be perfect before the start.
Yeah.
And I actually was having a conversation at IM Phenom, and someone had come up to me there at our AI and automation lab, and they said, okay, I just took this lab here and I'm seeing X plus and I see it helping me understand all these things. How quickly, if I sign for Phenom, how quickly is that AI going to learn for my team? And I said, well, how often do you plan to use it?
Yeah.
And so if you plan to use it, I don't know, twice a month, it's probably going to, it's probably going to take a little while for it to learn about your business, for you to learn what your team is doing. But if you have adoption, guess where maturity comes from? It's adoption. Going back to the runner, you don't just run a marathon. You started with that 5K, right? And you're like, hey, this is fun. Get that runner's high. And you're like, you know what? I think I can do the marathon. So it's that whole idea. When you can celebrate those wins along the way, you get this momentum, right? So it's by using and then going, oh, this, let's tweak this process. Or, hey, we're only doing it on this job. This same job is in a different region and they're experiencing different issues. How could we localize this process that this side of the business is doing for that team? So then that's when you start to see like people like these aha moments, right?
Yeah. It's funny because I, talk with HR professionals all the time, and we always have this conversation about, folks who want to get a job, they want to move into leadership. And it's like, well, you need 3 years of experience. How do you get that experience? You need to start someplace.
Yes.
We can't have those same guardrails when it comes to artificial intelligence.
No.
You mentioned, training for a marathon. Just because you run 1 mile this month doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to run 2 miles next month and be twice as fast. You have to put in the time and the effort.
That's right.
And it's never going to be perfect.
Yes.
Right? I think that was one of the key points that you made there in the beginning, was these expectations that everything. It's going to sound crazy, Joanna, but it's like having a baby. It's like if you're waiting for the perfect moment to have a baby, something will always be wrong, right? You need a new kitchen. You don't have enough space. It may never happen if you don't start.
That's right.
Sorry, it's top of mind. Anyway, neither here nor there. It is getting acclimated into these systems and starting to use them day to day. But I think an important question is, how do you use it day to day?
Yeah.
How do you start that process and begin training that muscle memory?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it doesn't happen in a bubble. You need to be able to have these conversations. And that's one thing Phenom does very uniquely. We do TXL for a reason. We do workshops for a reason. We do webinars for a reason. And we do them because we're in a great position to be able to talk, to chat. We understand the challenges. Let's work this out. Let's get pen and paper sometimes, believe it or not. Let's draw a map. Let's see what could good look like for your organization, right? When you think of automation, what I want you to think of is execution, right? So I'll give scheduling an example. A lot of people say, oh, scheduling is an intelligent tool. Actually, that's very wrong. Scheduling is mostly an automation tool. There's just only one tiny piece of intelligence in there, which is the logic if hiring manager calendar is full and candidate calendar is full. What is the least path of resistance? That's the only piece of intelligence in there. But there's a lot of people just think, oh, that is AI. It's not. That's automation. It's execution. AI is in the things that's bringing you those rich insights. So like FitScore, that's grading the candidates. It's not making decisions. It's helping you look to go like, hey, who should I screen? Could I build pipeline better based on these certain skills and interacting to make sure it's the right fit? Feeding your FitScores, things like your hires, who is your ideal candidate, things like that, right? This is intelligence added on, which in combination of the two helps you free up tasks, right? Helps you refine workflows and processes, and just helps you be more productive. And hopefully that means happier at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. I like to think of automation as yes, no, and artificial intelligence is anything beyond that, right? So if we're likening it to a game board, automation is Candyland. It's here's the color. Does it work? Yes, no, move forward, move backwards. That's it. Yeah. Versus AI and that intelligence aspect is going to be like the game of Risk, where you have multiple options of which way and which direction to go. And it doesn't take 1,700 hours like the game of Risk does, but it gives you multiple options versus you mentioned the calendar scheduling. Does this time work? No. All right, on to the next one, on to the next one. And it just does it in a very quick and neat process. Obviously, we're talking about a lot of different options here. When teams start, when they, take that first step into the water, what does good look like for them? Is it getting that first meeting scheduled through automation, or are there maybe something else that they can reach for, that carrot on the stick that they can look back and say, hey, we're making progress? Yeah.
And good is so subjective, right? Because you have people that are highly competitive where good is not good until it's level 5. You know what I mean? And then there's you just see all kinds of things. So good is progress. Have you improved time to hire, or better yet, time to that person sitting in the seat? Lots of things can happen in between. So what, you hired them fast. Did they show up? Did they work? Right. Depending on which job zone you're hiring for, especially in healthcare for very critical roles, there's so many things that you can measure. So the best thing that you can do is really measure those momentums to say, here's where we are. I'm a level 1, and being honest with that. Amazing. I think we could get to 1.5 just by using screening, for example. Maybe you're all of a sudden getting 100 applications for a role that you might have gotten 20 for. You think that's a good problem, but then all of a sudden now your recruiters are spending so many more hours screening when they never did that. So good can look like changing that one role and automating perhaps some of the screening bottlenecks and being able to measure, before we did this for this role, we saw this and our recruiters spent X amount of hours and now they're spending this much. So it's really just measuring those incremental changes, and that adds up.
Yeah. And it's contingent, I think, on what level you're at that you described previously, where it may be, hey, we do need to get more people scheduled. Yes. Once you have that plethora of folks that are scheduled, now the next step, the next level would be, adding some screening tools, whatever
Yes.
it may be, right? And
That's
then
right.
as you get to butts and seats and people that are hired, maybe the next level of that level 5 is how long are these, employees staying
That's
with your
right.
organization?
That's right.
Because that can be equally as costly if you're hiring people and they're not
Yes.
staying, right?
Yeah.
They're the wrong hire. You don't need that. So it depends on where you're at, where you're looking at that evaluation of what is good and what is not good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, for the folks at home, prepping, for Thanksgiving next week, what should they be doing instead of prepping the turkey, instead of buying that stovetop? Or
Yeah.
doing what? Hopefully they don't do stovetop. I do stovetop.
Everybody does stuff.
Some people do homemade stuffing. What should they be doing right now so that they can dedicate more time to their Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah, what I would pick a workflow.
Okay.
Your next team meeting, have each one go up to the room, write down a workflow,
Okay.
and then decide we're doing this one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a workflow that you're really struggling with intake meetings. I don't know. You're meeting with hiring managers constantly. Maybe you're getting this feedback from the organization that, hey, I need 10 more candidates. No, and you're in the spin of like, I'm giving you so many candidates. So you're back into the intake. Pick something.
Yeah.
Pick that workflow. Dissect it. Where could you enhance it? Where are those bottlenecks that are slowing you down? And where can you apply AI and automation? And by the way, you don't need to know. Have that conversation with a vendor, with whoever you trust within your organization. The places you've made investments should be making an investment in you and your organization as well. And the good organizations will sit down with you and go, yeah, let's map this out. And they're going to map it out and they're going to go, this is what it is. And this is future state. And then you can figure out a plan of how to get there. That might be 6 months. That might be a year. It truly just depends, but at least you picked one.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have to identify your weaknesses and then look to who can solve those. And I think having conversations with the people most closely tied to that sort of technology are going to be the only ones that can help, because we're all learning together, right? You mentioned nobody's at level 5 yet.
No.
We will get there. But the only way we can is that if you have buy-in from your team, and if you are actively trying to constantly improve, right? And constantly get to that marathon.
Yeah.
Which will be there next year. We're going to talk about level 6.
Next year, you just focus on your breath and your step, right? Your heels hitting the pavement.
That's it. Joanna, this has been a super fun conversation. I want to ask you, is there anything that we missed? Anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Well, there's always so many things going on at Phenom. But yes.
Are you calling out my interview style? I'm kidding.
I'll save that for later.
Thank you.
No, yes, there is one thing I do want to call out. We do many state of reports here at Phenom. We're very passionate about that and giving some benchmarks to industries. A lot of different key industries. Look at those to see what's happening. We do have a new one coming out called the State of AI and Automation. I got to contribute to it, and man, did I geek out on some data. Let me just tell you, I love a good data report. So I'm very excited about that, but you'll be able to look at that and say, like, what are my industry benchmarks? What's really going on, and kind of this glimpse of kind of opening up this conversation that was always sort of happening behind doors, right? So I'm very excited about that.
No, and it sounds like that could be a great step to identifying what a roadmap should look like, is identifying some of those benchmarks, what the pie in the sky numbers are that you want to achieve, and how you're going to get there incrementally. So that's super exciting. Once we have it, we'll blast it out. Sign up for our emails, request a demo, sign up for meet and greets to meet Joanna at I Am Phenom.
Yeah, that's coming.
We'll talk about it. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank you.
It's a fun conversation. We will see you soon. To everyone, we will have no episode next week. I know I say we do this every damn Thursday. We're not going to. Enjoy time with your family, your friends, whoever it may be. And if you're in Europe, just enjoy your time. Have a glass of wine right now. It's about 6 p.m. there. So everyone have a safe, happy, and healthy weekend, and we will see you in December. Thanks so much.